Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel again. In this video we are going to discuss about the Israeli Prime Minister's position on the potential US and Iran's deal. So as you have seen that the war may be ending, but the political battle is just beginning. After months of conflict, the US and Iran appears closer than ever to a new agreement. The deal could reduce tension across the Middle East and reopen the critical shipping routes and potentially bring an end to the devastating war in Lebanon. But one man is standing at the center of a growing controversy, the Israeli's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. For decades, Netanyahu has built his political career around one central mission, stopping Iran from becoming a nuclear power. Now, as Washington moves toward an understanding with Iran, a critical question emerged. Will Netanyahu accept the new realities or will he try to derail the deal? So, for Benjamin Netanyahu, Iran is not merely another foreign policy challenge. It is the defining issue of his political career. For more than 20 years, he has warned that Iran's nuclear ambitions pose an existential threat to Israel. At the UN and in speeches before the US Congress and in countless diplomatic meetings, Netanyahu has consistently argued that the Iran or the Tehran cannot be trusted. If I quote him, he said that for decades I have been fighting Iran's effort to acquire nuclear weapon and I can define this as my life mission. To Netanyahu, any agreement that allows the Iran to retain part of its nuclear infrastructure is fundamentally flawed. And this belief has shaped Israel's security policy across the multiple governments. And today, it continued to influence his response to the emerging US and Iran's deal. As we have seen, a proposed agreement between the Washington and the Tehran is designed to reduce the regional tension. So according to reports, the understanding could include what? Limits on the Iran's nuclear activities, easing of the economic sanctions, reopening of the Strait of Hormuz, and the measures aimed at ending the hostilities in Lebanon and the broader regional de-escalation effort. Supporters argue that the deal could prevent a wider Middle East war while stabilizing the global energy market. What critics see major risks. For Israel, sanctions relief could strengthen what? The Iran's economy. So, a reduction in international pressure may allow Tehran to expand its regional influence through allied groups across the Middle East. And that is precisely what worries the Netanyahu. In 2005, Netanyahu openly fought against the Obama administration's nuclear agreement with Iran. He even addressed the US Congress in a dramatic effort to mobilize oppositions. This time, however, the sanctions is very different. The agreement is being championed not by the Barack Obama, but by Donald Trump. And that changes everything. Trump has long been one of the Netanyahu's closest international allies, and their relationship has delivered major diplomatic victories for Israel, including a recognition of Jerusalem as Israel's capital, the Abraham Accords, the strong diplomatic backing during the regional conflict. Because of this relationship, Netanyahu faces a difficult dilemma. If he opposes the deal too aggressively, he risks confronting the very ally on whom Israel depends the most, the US. And if he remains silent, he risks angering his political base at home. But why is Israel so uncomfortable? Because Israeli officials have repeatedly argued that any agreement between the Iran must address three issues simultaneously. The first one is Iran's nuclear program. Okay. The second one is its ballistic missile capabilities. And the third one is its network of regional allies and proxies. Critics within the Israel argues that the emerging agreement does not adequately address these concerns. From their perspective, sanctions relief could provide Iran with additional resources while leaving key security threats unresolved. As a result, many members of Netanyahu coalition views this deal as dangerous, and they fear that Israel could be asked to accept a compromise while Iran gains a strategic benefit. And basically, Netanyahu's challenge is not only the international front, he is also facing pressure from within the Israel itself. Hardlines members of his coalition want a tougher stance. Some have described the agreement as a strategic mistake. Others believed Israel should retain complete freedom to act militarily if it perceived a threat. Meanwhile, the opposition's leaders are criticizing Netanyahu from another direction. They arguing that after months of conflicts, Iran has failed to achieve a decisive strategic victory, and the result is pressure from both sides. Too much compromise could alienate his supporters, and too much resistance could damage his relationship with the Washington. So, what was the strategy behind the scenes? Basically, rather than launching a public confrontations, Netanyahu appears to be pursuing a quieter approach. Reports suggest Israel's officials are working behind the scenes to influence the final shape of the agreement, and their goal is not necessarily to block the deal outrightly. Instead, they want stronger safeguard, greater considerations of the Israeli security concerns. And this strategy reflects a political reality. Israel's relationship with the US remains its most important strategic partnership. Open confrontations carries a significant risk, so influencing negotiations from within may prove more effective than opposing them from the outside. So the Benjamin Netanyahu now faces one of the most consequential decision of his political career. He can accept the agreement and attempt to reshape its implementations, or he can continue resisting it and risking tensions with Donald Trump and the United States. So neither option is politically easy. Neither option is without risk. But the choice he makes could shape the future of Middle East geopolitics for years to come. So at the end, the war with Iran may be nearing its conclusion, but a new battle is beginning. Not on the battlefields, not in the skies over the Middle East, but in the corridors of power where diplomacy, strategy, and political survival collides. So, will Netanyahu ultimately accept the deal? Will he quietly reshape it, or will he attempt to torpedo it altogether? The answer could determine not only the future of Israel and Iran, but the future of stability across the Middle East. As the negotiations move forward, world is watching. And thank you for watching the video. Bye bye. Please do like, share, subscribe.